What's up, everybody? It's Skylar and Pedro back again with another tech deck. On today's episode, we got our buddy Tor. He's going to be doing Urza, the Lord High Artificer. He got the special edition one, which is nice. And Tor, why don't you introduce yourself?
How's it going, guys? I'm Tor, a friend of Skylar and Pedro's. I'm doing Urza deck tech today. One of the first commanders I built. Started off kind of budgety, but upgraded over the couple years I've had it. And I guess I'll just get right into it, huh?
Yep.
Alright, so the commander is Urza, Lord High Artificer. Whenever Urza, Lord High Artificer, enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each creature.
Right here. I don't know for them to see it. Yep, there you go. Sorry, people.
Sorry.
It's all good. There you go.
Alright, this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. So it's going to pop out a construct token. And it's going to get a +1/+1 for each artifact, which we carry a lot of artifacts in here. So you're going to get some pretty high damage constructs coming out. Also, tap an untapped artifact you control, add a blue mana. So it's going to turn all your artifacts, cheap artifacts, which we got a lot of in here, into mana rocks, which is nice. And then also 5 mana, shuffle your library, then exile the top card until end of turn. You may play that card without paying its mana cost. So you're going to have a lot of mana out with this deck, so you're going to be using that. We have ways to get infinite mana a couple times, so I will get right into it with these spells. Alright, Dramatic Reversal, a 1 and a blue, untap non-land permanents you control, so it's going to untap your artifacts. And a combo I want to point out real quick is Isochron Scepter with Dramatic Reversal.
Nasty.
So Isochron Scepter, you're going to imprint Dramatic Reversal, and then you're going to be able to tap Isochron Scepter to activate Dramatic Reversal to untap everything. It's essentially infinite mana. With Urza out, just play your whole deck essentially, which is very nice. Alright, those two. Next I have Spell Swindle. Pretty good counter spell. 3 blue, instant, counter target spell. Create X color treasure artifact tokens, where X is the spell's converted mana cost, and it taps for any color mana. To leave some mana open. You have a lot of mana available usually in this deck. Keep it in your hands, counter something, get more mana. Pretty good. Blink Moth Infusion normally counts for 12 blue. However, it has affinity for artifacts. It costs 1 less to play for each artifact you control, and you untap all artifacts with it.
Let me say, this deck is really crazy. We played against it, and Tor, bro, it's amazing, man. It's really nice. I appreciate that. And you're doing a great job right now explaining everything about this deck, which is great for the viewers. They love that.
Yeah, I didn't know about the whole infinite mana things. I didn't have like the Isochron Scepter when I first started. It was mainly get Urza out, get a powerful construct, and just have a bunch of cheap artifacts. And then over time, I kind of just upgraded a little bit more.
Oh, okay, that's nice though.
Fierce Guardianship, really good counter spell. 2 blue, but if you have your commander out, you can counter something for free.
Really nice. Really nice.
Oh, a non-creature spell.
Spicy.
Yeah, this card here, amazing. Look at that.
Next, got a blue counter spell.
Oh, fancy artwork too. Nice.
Yep. Another counter, Force of Negation. If it's not your turn, you may exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into the owner's graveyard.
And people, we got a wonderful card. When he showed us that he pulled this card, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to open a Force of Will full art from the Dominaria remaster that just came out. So definitely added this in right away.
Look how beautiful that is, people. And look at that.
And if you don't know what Force of Will is, it's 3 blue. You may pay 1 life and exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost and counter any spell and counter target spell. All right. Next we got Engulf the Shore. 3 and a blue. Instant. Return to their owner's hands all creatures with toughness less than or equal to the number of islands you control. Bounce everything back. Do carry quite a bit of islands in here. Next, 1 blue for negate. Counter target non-creature spell. Next is Paradoxal Outcome. 3 and a blue, instant. Return any number of target non-land, non-token permanents you control to their owner's hands. Draw a card for each return to your hand this way. Next is Time Stretch. Normally you're gonna have a lot of mana available, so I've played it from my hand a couple of times, but also if you get it from the Urza ability, that's not too bad either. Target player takes 2 extra turns after this one. Pretty much a game ender, pretty much, if you can get that out.
That is crazy.
Fabricate, 2 and a blue, sorcery. Search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. Helps you get those pieces that you need for infinite mana or a good combo. Next, Reshape. X blue. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact. Search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less, and put it into your battlefield, then shuffle your library. Another good way to get your artifacts. Next, I got Aethergale. 3 blue. Return 6 target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. Another extra turn spell here called Karn's Temporal Sundering. Legendary sorcery, so you may cast this legendary sorcery only if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker, which you're going to have Urza out a lot of the time, hopefully. Target player takes an extra turn after this one. Return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Exile Karn's Temporal Sundering. Next we got Thopter Spy Network. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact, put a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token of flying onto the battlefield. Whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. So, those 1/1 colorless Thopters are going to be essentially mana rocks for you, or, flyers that can help you get some card draw. Pretty good. Next is Mirrodin Besieged. As Mirrodin Besieged enters the battlefield, choose Mirrodin or Phyrexian. So you can go one of 2 ways with this card. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature token. So again, getting mirror artifacts for mana rocks or fodder. Or you can pick Phyrexian. At the beginning of the end step, draw a card, then discard a card. Then, if there are 15 or more artifact cards in your graveyard, target opponent loses the game. So if you have a lot of artifacts in your graveyard, you can make someone lose. Future Sight, 2 blue. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may play the top card of your library, which is very nice because you're going to have a lot of mana, a lot of ways to play small, cheap artifacts, which we carry a lot of in here. Pretty good card. Next, we got Efficient Construction. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. So basically another way to get your creature mana rocks out with Urza. Next, Mystic Remora. Cumulative upkeep 1. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 4. So helps you get your card draw. All right. Next, we'll go into the artifacts. I got Basalt Monolith, 3 colorless. You can tap it for 3 colorless and pay 3 to untap Basalt Monolith. Goes to an infinite combo with Rings of Bright Hearth. Rings of Bright Hearth, 3 artifact. Whenever you activate an ability. If it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 2. If you do copy that ability, you may choose new targets for the ability. So essentially, you're tapping this for 3. If you have this out, you can pay 2 of that. You can use the 3 to untap it. It can copy that untap ability for 2, untap. Pretty good. Phyrexian Furnace, a 1 artifact drop. Remove the bottom card of target player's graveyard from the game to tap it. And then pay 1, sacrifice Phyrexian Furnace, remove target card in any graveyard from the game and draw a card. So a little bit of graveyard hate there. Alchemist Vial. 2 mana. When Alchemist Vial enters the battlefield, draw a card. Pretty good just to get it. It's a mono rock with Urza out, and then it'll help you draw your deck a little bit. Pay 1, and it also has pay 1 to tap it. Sacrifice Alchemist Veil. Target creature can't attack or block this turn. Good old Soul Ring. Prophetic Prism. When Prophetic Prism enters the battlefield, draw a card. So again, cheap mana, acts as a mono rock, comes in the battlefield, draw a card, help you draw your deck. Pay 1, tap it, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Terrarion. Terrarion enters the battlefield tapped. Pay 2, tap it, sacrifice Terrarion, add 2 mana of any combination of colors to your mana pool. When it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. I have Scrabbing Claws, another cheap artifact. You just play for 1, and also usually they're going to be like mono rocks to help you cast your bigger spells or more artifacts, but it also has like some good side effects every now and again. Target player removes a card in his or her graveyard from the game. So a little bit of graveyard hate there. Pay 1, sacrifice it, remove target card in a graveyard from the game, and draw a card. Got Blinkmoth Urn for 5 mana. A little bit of a pricey artifact, but what it does is really good. At the beginning of each player's pre-combat main phase, if Blinkmoth Urn is untapped, that player adds colorless for each artifact they control. So what you can do of this, you can basically turn it on and off with Urza, tapping it for mana. So your opponents won't really get a chance to use it if you tap it with Urza. So it'll just be you using it, getting all that colorless mana. Next I have Conjurer's Bauble. 1 mana. You can sacrifice it, tap it to sacrifice, put up to 1 target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library, and draw a card. Cheap mono rock with a nice little side effect there. Everflowing Chalice. For 0 mana. You can kick it for how much mana you put into it, multi-kicker 2. Everflowing Chalice enters the battlefield with a charge counter on it for each time it was kicked. Tap it, add 1 to your mana pool for each charge counter. So for every 2 mana you put into that, it'll tap for 1. Pretty good combo you can do with a creature card I have in here, with Hullbreaker Horror. You can keep bouncing that and a Soul Ring to your hand to get infinite mana that way as well. Next, Guild Globe. 2 mana. When Guild Globe enters the battlefield, draw a card. Mono rock with a card draw, help you draw your deck a little bit. 2 mana, tap it, sacrifice Guild Globe, add 2 mana of different colors. Winter Orb. I got the one before it was eroded. Now, this one says players cannot untap more than 1 land during their untap phase. However, it's when it's untapped. that's true. So at the beginning of the end step for the opponent before you's turn, you can tap it and it will not affect you. Silent Gravestone. 1 mana. Cards in graveyards can't be the targets of spells or abilities. And then 4 mana and tap it, exile Silent Gravestone and all cards from all graveyards and draw a card. Got Voyager Staff for 1 mana. You can pay 2, sacrifice Voyager Staff, remove target creature from the game, return that creature to the play under its owner's control at the end of turn. So you can use this to kind of protect Urza a bit. And it'll blink Urza to cancel the target, and it'll come back and make another construct token, which is pretty nice. Next, Howling Mine. At the beginning of each player's draw step, if Howling Mine is untapped, that player draws a card. Same thing with Winter Orb. You can essentially turn it on and off with Urza. So only you get the double draw. Next we have Foundry Inspector. 3 mana. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, making all your stuff a little bit less expensive. Aetherflux Reservoir for 4 mana. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. Pay 50 life. Aetherflux Reservoir deals 50 damage to target creature or player. So we have a bunch of cheap artifacts in here. Every artifact, you play 1, that's 1 life. The next one, you get 2 life for that one. You pay a third, you're going to get 3. You gain your life very fast with this out, and you can essentially blow someone up. Unwinding Clock. 4 mana. Untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. So you're basically, with Urza out, all your mana comes back with your artifacts. So you can react with instants or counters or whatever you have in your hand. Ichor Wellspring for 2 mana. When it comes to enters the battlefield, when it enters the battlefield or put into the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Lightning Greaves, just to help protect Urza a little bit. Equipped creature has haste and shroud, equipped for 0. Elsewhere Flask. 2 mana. When Elsewhere Flask comes into play, draw a card. Sacrifice Elsewhere Flask. Choose a basic land type. Each land you control becomes that type until end of turn. Synod Sanctum. 1 mana, and it has essentially good to have out just to get your mana going with Urza out. And it has some cool little side effects, I think. 2 mana and tap it, remove target permanent you control from the game. And sacrifice Synod Sanctum, return to play under your control all cards removed from the game with Synod Sanctum. So, you want to blink Urza or protect something. It's pretty nice. We got Mere Mind Servant for 1 mana. It's a 1/1 creature. Pay 2, shuffle your library. And have it shuffle your library. You don't really use that too often. Just mainly out to, can be some fodder or, tap for. Alright, Mannequin. 2 mana, 1/1. Add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source. Pretty good for in the beginning of the game. You're paying 2 mana out to get this out, then you can get Urza out faster, or whatever spell out faster. Static Orb. 3 mana. Players cannot untap more than 2 permanents during their untap phases. It's been errated as well. Same with Winter Orb. If it's untapped, it activates like that. So essentially, tap it during your opponent's end phase and it will not affect you. Next we have Sentinel Totem. For 1 mana, when Sentinel Totem enters the battlefield, scry 1. And then tap it to exile Sentinel Totem. Exile all cards from all graveyards, so some graveyard hate and a good scry 1 ability. Next have Aether Bomb, Aether Spell Bomb. 1 mana. For a blue, sacrifice Aether Spell Bomb, return target creature to its owner's hand. And then for 1 colorless, sacrifice Aether Spell Bomb, draw a card. So if you need some card draw, you can sacrifice it to get it, or bounce something. Pretty good artifact. Alright, next is Hearthstone. 3 mana, the cost of each creature's ability requiring an activation cost is reduced by 1. This cannot reduce an ability's generic mana cost less than 1. So it'll essentially get Urza's pay 5 to play something from the top of your deck. It'll make it for 4 instead of 5. Makes it cheaper. Nice. Plus it's again comes in as a mana rock. We got Barbed Sextant. 1 mana, and you can pay 1, tap it, sacrifice it, add 1 mana to any color your mana pool, play this ability as a mana source, draw a card at the beginning of your next turn. Alright, some more artifacts and creatures here. Got Phyrexian Walker for 0 mana. It's a 0/3, just to get something out to maybe for fodder or just to tap for blue with Urza out. Walking Ballista for XX, enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. For 4, put a 1/1 counter on Walking Ballista. Remove a 1/1 counter from Walking Ballista. It deals 1 damage to any target. You have ways to get infinite mana in this deck, so essentially get that out with infinite mana. You win the game if it can't be answered. If they don't answer it. Next we have Jorah's Familiar, 4 mana. 2/2 flyer. Historic spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, so makes your artifacts cheaper, legendaries cheaper, and sagas and all that. Hullbreaker Horror for 5 blue. You can flash it in for 7/8. This spell cannot be countered. When you cast a spell, choose up to 1, return target spell you don't control to the owner's hand, and return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So essentially, you can bounce back Soul Ring and the Everflowing Chalice in like a constant loop to get infinite mana there. Very nice. Or you can bounce their stuff to their hand as well. Pretty nice control card. Next, Silver Mirror. 2 mana. 1/1, add a blue to your mana pool. Pretty good if you started in your opening hand, or for fodder. It's help you get Urza out faster, or Urza out when you don't have them out. Get the blue mana. Next we have Vedalken Archmage. 2 blue. Whenever you play an artifact spell, draw a card. So we have a bunch of cheap artifacts. We play it, we get to draw cards. Very, very nice to get our pieces on our from our deck, or what we need. Next we have Battered Golem. 3. Battered Golem doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever an artifact comes into play, you may untap Battered Golem. So you have Battered Golem, you can tap it for mana with Urza, play another cheap artifact, it'll untap, and then you can then tap it again for more mana. Very nice. Psy Master Thopterist. 2 in a blue. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. 1 in a blue, sacrifice 2 artifacts, draw a card, so some card draw in there, and those Thopters come in as mana rocks essentially for you with Urza out. Next, Ornithopter. Pretty nice card for 0 mana, 0/2 with flying. Can block air creatures, flying creatures, or again, cheap artifact for mana. Next we have Trophy Mage. 2 and a blue. When Trophy Mage enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost 3, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Pretty nice tutor for your artifacts. Next we have Dead Eye Navigator. 4 blue. Soul Bond. which is where you can pair this creature with another unpaired creature. When either enters the battlefield, they remain paired for as long as you control both of them. So you play this with Urza out, you can soul bond them. As long as Deadeye Navigator is paired with another creature, each of those creatures has 1 and a blue, exile this creature, then return it to the battlefield under control. So essentially protecting Urza a little bit. When someone tries to target it, you can blink it out. And you can also spam the field with constructs. Pay the 1 and a blue to blink Urza multiple times. You'll normally have a lot of mana to play with and get a bunch of powerful constructs out. Next, Tribute Mage. 2 and a blue. When Tribute Mage enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost 2. Reveal that card, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. There's plenty of cheap artifacts to get. Normally use this to get the Isochron Scepter when I need it. If I want to get that infant mana going or something else I need. Trinket Mage. 2 and a blue. When Trinket Mage enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card with converted mana 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. Another nice tutor. Got Ethereum Sculptor. 1 and a blue. Artifact spells cost 1 less to cast, making all your artifacts even cheaper than they already are. And then next we have Blightsteel Colossus. For 12 mana, it has Trample, Infect, Indestructible, 11/11. If it would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, reveal it, and then shuffle it into the owner's library instead. So, chance you could get it with Urza's ability, or usually we do have a lot of mana on the field, so it's not that much of a problem to get this guy out, and this guy is very devastating for opponents.
He's rich.
Next I have some Planeswalkers. Narset, Parter of Veils. 1 blue. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. So it controls your opponent's card draw a little bit, and then you can pay -2, the loyalty. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order, so it helps you get stuff from your deck, which is nice. Next I have Ugin the Spirit Dragon for 8 mana. 7 comes in with 7 loyalty. You can +2. Ugin the Spirit Dragon deals 3 damage to any target. So you can blow something up or ping your opponent if you need to. You can -X, so you can choose how much loyalty you want to minus. Exile each target with converted mana cost X or less. That's 1 or more colors. Then -10. If you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, and put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. So pretty good. If you can get it with the Urza ability, or again, you usually have a lot of mana to play with, so it's not that big of a deal to get this on the field usually. Next, Tezzeret the Seeker. Very nice for 3 blue. Comes with 4 loyalty. +1, untap up to 2 target artifacts. So pretty nice to get your artifacts untapped to do more stuff with. Or you can -X, search your library for an artifact card with converted mana X or less and put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library, so good tutor to get your artifact that you need. Or you can -5, artifacts you control become 5/5 artifact creatures until end of turn. Usually I get the tutor out, but that would be pretty cool, getting all your artifacts 5/5 artifact creatures to 5/5s. You do normally have a lot of artifacts out eventually, so that would probably be game ending there, having a bunch of 5/5s. Then next, just the lands, about 30 lands. Darksteel Citadel, indestructible artifact land. This will count as an artifact to power up your constructs. Taps for a colorless. I got Academy Ruins. Legendary land, tap for colorless, 1 and a blue, tap it. Put target artifact card from your graveyard on top of your library. If something gets milled or someone blows something up, a good way to get it back. Next up, Urza Saga. It's a land. well, it's a Saga enchantment land. Comes in, taps it for a colorless. Then each turn, as the turns progress, it goes to the next Saga. So it starts out as tapping for a colorless. Next turn, it's going to it gains the ability pay 2, tap, create a 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature token with the +1/+1 ability. And then on the third turn you have it, it's search your library for an artifact card with mana cost 0 or 1, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Very nice land there. Next we got Mystic Sanctuary. Taps for a blue, enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more other islands, which you normally would. When Mystic Sanctuary comes to the battlefield, when Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield untapped, you may put target instant or sorcery from your graveyard on top of your library. So if you have something in there, nice to get it back. Next is Inventor's Fair. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more artifacts, you gain 1 life, which is nice. It taps for a colorless, and then you can pay 4 and tap it. Sacrifice Inventor's Fair. Search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only if you control 3 or more artifacts, so a nice little tutor there. Seat of the Synod. Artifact land, so it will power up your constructs with it on the field, and taps for a blue and doesn't come in tapped or anything. And next we just have basic islands. Basic islands there. Then just the pretty cool constructs, and then Thopters, and then Mirror, because you create those. And that's it. Thank you for having me, Skylar and Pedro. It's super fun deck to play. Have a lot of mana to burn to play with usually, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much.
As you can see, people, Tor just got done with his tech deck. This is a very, very nice deck.
Powerful.
Very powerful. And the playmat, as you can see, is Tor's too. He just got it from Pokemon Addict. We're not sponsored by them. But right after this, we're gonna record a pack opening for you guys, and you're gonna see it. And this is the artwork of the playmat, as you can tell. And Tor, thank you so much for coming on here, doing your tech deck of Urza. Can't wait for you to do more tech decks of your decks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And peace out, everybody.